How you doing, young man?
I'm doing good, doing good.
Awesome. Hey, well, I was uh again here we're on the Sky High and Fly Jump Lab podcast. We call it Raise the Bar, and our guest is Kennedy Sauder. He is am I saying your name right after all this time? I got it
Y-
right?
Yes, you are. Yes.
Kennedy Sauder. I was looking back at our text chain because I was trying to remember how long it's been, and the first
Yeah.
first things I had from you was back like 2021 or something, and you
Yeah,
were
I was at Liberty still, I think.
Yeah, you were at Liberty. You were telling me about how you were just 18 and where you'd just gone to, finished high school, and
Yeah.
then you were at Liberty, and then you moved to Miami, correct?
hmm
Now, are
Yeah,
you
definitely.
still competing at Miami? Is this
Yes, I'm still competing at Miami. So this is actually my junior year collegiately at Miami. But that's like due to injury this season
uh-huh.
and then just a bunch of other stuff that's happened. But yeah, it's
So
been it's been it's been good so far.
the long and winding road, like 4 years later, right? So
Yeah, absolutely.
been a journey. You were 1 year at Liberty and then three here.
So I was a year and a semester at Liberty. Then this is my a year and a semester at Liberty, took time off, finished out my spring semester. So I was at 2 years at Liberty, and then yeah, this is my second year at Miami. So yeah.
Okay. And I saw on your bio, three-time All-American, three-time
Yes,
NCAA
sir.
All-American, and is that one at
Yes,
Liberty
sir.
and two at Miami?
Yes, sir. Well, actually, wait, no, actually, wait, hold up. It should be four because I got indoor, outdoor, Liberty. Yeah, that's right. Actually, because outdoor I didn't get it, unfortunately.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's rarefied air. For those of you out there listening to the podcast, becoming an All-American at any level of the NC2A involves being in the top eight, right? So, top eight in the nation at the NC2A final, whichever one that is. So that can be NAIA, that can be NCAA Division One, Division Two, Division One AA, whatever they're holding it. And yeah, I learned about that my senior year at UCLA because I jumped
hmm
222 that year for the first time, and back then there were no regionals. Like you had to jump.
Mm.
It was 222 or bust.
Wow.
So that was my senior year, and I was motivated that whole year to finally make it, and I made it and went there and finished ninth. So
Mm.
someone told me because nobody in my family had ever even gone to college or been an athlete, collegiately, and so I didn't know anything about that. Somebody said, "Hey, you missed being an All-American by one spot," and I was like, "Really? Maybe I should have known that before the meet." No,
Yep, definitely.
whether that would have helped, we don't know. But so yeah, in the top eight in the nation is outstanding. And then
Correction. Second team All American. It should be second team.
oh,
Because
okay,
yeah, it's like two. So there's like top eight, which is first team, and then like I think the next eight is the second team.
okay. Well,
Yeah.
I gotta look it up. Maybe I was a second team All American then if I finished ninth.
Most likely, no, it's okay, but yeah.
Yeah, nobody ever told me that. I can put it on my resume.
Yep.
So after all these years, um,
Mhm.
fill us in. I was looking back at some of the things that I think I originally wanted to do a reels or a regular post. Now I've been doing reels for a while,
Mhm.
and you graciously sent me some videos and everything. And then we were talking about your goals. So
Yeah.
this is 2024, and I saw one of the things you said you look up to, Barshim, and I'm thinking, who doesn't?
Mhm.
And then, like amazing, technician, amazing, perfect body type, I would say, for a high jumper, and all the gifts. Like I'll tell my clients sometimes, I go, look, you're tall. Okay, that's one. I go, number two, you're pretty fast, right? I go,
Yeah.
three, you're pretty flexible. You get in decent positions over the bar, right? I
Yeah.
go, number four, you're a stick. You're like tall and fast and skinny and light and flexible. I go, You've got the magic checklist here, so let's get to
Yeah.
work.
Definitely.
So, looking at Barshim, I'm like, gosh, this guy's 6'4" and he looks like he weighs 120 pounds dripping wet.
Yeah.
Um, so great choice there for the role model, obviously. And then, but you had stated that you wanted to go to the Olympics in 2024, like,
Definitely.
awesome goal. I love it. And, the going backwards now, because we haven't talked for a couple of years, right? This is our
Mhm.
second go around. Um, a couple of years ago when that was happening, now the trial height used to be way higher, but they have the A and the B standard, and there's all kinds of different ways to get there now that didn't used to be there. But
Mhm.
did you make it in 2024 to the
Yeah.
trials?
So that was crazy. So I made it to the trials. However, my body was just so kind of shocked from the whole season. Also, the transition to the ACC because I was competing at Liberty at the time, and so Liberty's level of competition was kind of light, and
Hmm.
so I was able to go there and win most meets with the opening height at like 6'9" per se, or that's like 208, kind of a 209 in that area. Where at Miami, my first meet, I opened up at what was it 210, and everyone opened up at 210, and so like every single meet I had at Miami, I was having to basically jump around 2 meters, 15 or plus, just to be able to win those competitions.
Right,
So I
right,
think for me, it kind of gave me like a shock in a way, where it's like I was putting a lot more effort in the weight room, a lot more effort on the track, so I could still be in that top 24 region for
right,
outdoor, and of course, top 16 for indoor.
right.
And so I think with all that being said, with the new transition to a new school, also all the different coaching and different types of training I was doing, it almost got my body in the outdoor very shocked in the way where I got really consistent at 218 the whole season. Didn't
Right.
go up, didn't go less. So I did make it like in the trial sheet in the top, I think it was what, 24 spots.
Hmm.
I think it was like number 20 or number 19. However, I think my body was just so done for the whole year that I made the decision just to, like rest off and then go for world championships this year. Because it
Uh,
made no sense for me to go there, have to start one at a really high height when my body's already feeling bad with no
right,
warm-ups, no nothing, and do bad, and then have to deal with a bunch of mental stuff. Whereas
right.
I could take the summer off, recover, recuperate, and go in the next year. So that's kind of the
Yeah.
envision I have for myself last year, this year.
That's pretty wise. One thing I keep trying to counsel, any age of high jumper, but even starting young now, like, the season's a grind. You got to remember, in high school out here in Southern California, I mean, these coaches, you would think that they were making $1 million a year and that they were getting performance fees out of everybody because, they're getting television money from somewhere. And I'm like going, I know those none of those things exist.
Hmm.
These coaches, head coaches are working on $4,000 stipends. And I'm like going, so, what is the motivation to have a meet every week? I mean, they've got dual meets during the week, they've got, quadrangulars or, the whatever the kind of feeder meets, and always a big invitation on the weekend. And I'm telling the coaches, I'm like, look, for the sprinters and this and that, I said, I don't know much about everything else, and I probably do, but I'm saying that I don't. I just know things from the high jumper angle. I'm like, I do not need my jumper getting to the end of the year fully qualified for all these big events and, trained, okay, quote unquote, well trained. Some people say, okay, they're well trained. I'm like, yeah, they've learned a lot of stuff from me this year. We've worked on takeoff angles, we've worked on pop-ups, we've worked on run-throughs, we do this, we do that. But if I get them to these meets and they're like you said, you're on like baling wire and spit, and some staples, holding you together, and you feel like, $100. I'm like, when you get to these meets, if you're properly trained by your coach and prepared, you should feel like you've taken 2 months off. Like,
Hmm.
like you want to that first jump workout when you come back after taking off the whole summer and recovering, and you feel like you could take 150 jumps, right?
Yep.
Those things don't happen at the end of the season. Those are those days you go out there, you're jogging around, you're warming up, you're like, I feel like a 50-year-old man right now, man. My hips are sore, my shins are killing me, my knees are aching. I'm like, I tell people I lived
Hmm.
every night. My junior and senior year, I just sat around with ice bags on my knees, knees up above my heart, watching the TV or doing my homework or whatever I was doing, but it was like I was in recovery mode, all the time. And it wasn't until after I left college that I started learning that maybe I don't need to train this hard, as far as lifting weights or doing plyos or doing sprinting like every day of the week. And then the one thing in college is you do only have your meet on the weekend. So that's a good thing. So there's only one of them, but it's still a grind, and now you're adding even to the kids out here on the West Coast. We didn't used to have indoors when I was at UCLA. It didn't exist.
Yeah.
Now you're still training outdoors to jump indoors, but you're going to end up going to a couple indoor meets if you're good. Then you got the outdoor season, and it's like, man, alive, like you said,
Hmm.
get to the end of that and trying to be fresh and sharp. That's a real complicated thing. So how are you going to, now that you've been through this mill and you're going to go through the world championships this year, but as you circle around to 2028, is the goal, is that still the prize? The goal is to get on the team 2028.
Absolutely.
And then
Absolutely.
Are you going to stay there out there once you graduate from Miami and train? Are you going to come to the West Coast? Because it's going to
Yeah.
be here in LA, right?
Oh no, I'm in Florida.
Yeah, I know I'm saying, but
Yeah.
it's going to be here in
Oh,
LA,
that's true. Yeah.
the Olympics.
Um, Honestly, I don't know. That's the decision I'm going to make. Definitely when I get a contract. That's like the big goal right now. Is I need a contract. I can't jump without
You
agents
gotta,
and etc. But
oh yeah.
especially this year, I got injured unfortunately. On our family reunion in Ohio, like right before
Hmm.
our training season started, and so I was out for like 8 months, literally basically on bed rest. Not really bed rest, but all I could do was walk and walk upstairs.
Wow,
So for like basically, yeah, like 8 months, my whole training that I did was just walking upstairs.
that's crazy. What happened to you? What'd you do?
So I was in Doomburg with my little cousin, and we were like kind of like a little joyride through like their farm that they have, and we hit a rock. Like she kind of like did a little like spin around, and she hit a rock, and the thing flipped over, and my arm got like shot out a little bit, and it got caught under the doom buggy,
Wow.
and just literally it snapped in half. Like everything, yeah, it was not good. So I had to get surgery. It's like all you see is a scar right here.
Right.
There's a big scar right here. Had surgery, got 3 plates and like a bunch of screws in there. Was out for 8 months. Got back a little bit to training within like I think it was like the fifth month, but then we
Hmm.
had another setback, unfortunately. And so then that added the extra 3 months of literally nothing. And then I just got back maybe what 2 months ago, like to
Hmm.
actually start training. Had my first track meet I want to say in March at University of Florida. Did really, really bad there. It was like one of my worst openers in a long, long time.
Right.
Watched some film with my coach, rehashed it, worked out in the gym, decided that we were gonna go from a 6 step, probably for the rest of the year. Just so it's like, because I can bring good speed from a short approach. It's
Sure.
not like I'm lacking with that. And so like you're strong, you can bring good speed. Like let's see what we can do.
Right.
Started going with short approach of practice, clearing 210s, 211s, like really consistent. Went to UNF last month, cleared 213, and then just yeah, this last week went to ACCs, did very all right, which like was really upsetting for me because like the jumps was there. It was more like for me, I felt like the positioning as well as even just like the competition just wasn't there for me.
Yeah.
And so in a way, I was kind of like working my mind to be there all in.
Hmm.
And so like, it was a bit of a struggle. So I only jumped 212, but like it's not like the 213, I mean 218s, 220s aren't there. I
Right.
feel like it's more of like a competition type of thing. Because for me, it's like I really do find myself being better with better competition. It almost like brings out the betterment of me.
Right.
And not only that, but I feel like when you have better competition, your starting bar and starting height is a lot higher. So you
Sure.
kind of just kind of blow right, you can blow right through them
Hmm.
instead of having started at like 190 where you're having to wait for two jumps, 3 jumps.
Right.
When it's
Right.
like 209, 210, it's like you just start and then
Yeah.
go from there. So I think it's definitely been a up and down year, but my sights are still on the championships is outdoor. And
Hmm.
whether that's on the U23 team or the USA team, either one would be great. But even that involves me going through nationals, having to go through the summer to make it. Like that's my goal, and that goal
Yeah.
is gonna be attainable. So, definitely a wonky season. But I think through this season, I've also seen why a lot of pro athletes just start in March
Hmm.
because it's like you get to train all the
Sure.
way through, and then your season opener is usually something that you want or something that puts you in a good standard.
Right.
I think that if I wasn't injured and kind of try to replicate that, I would have a way better season opener.
Yeah.
But I think in retrospect, it's like, I mean, I can't do that at the college level, unfortunately. But when I do like go pro and get a good contract, that's something I'm definitely going to try to do is like kind of do like maybe 2 indoor meets just to like get competition feel, but
Yeah.
not really worry about championships. Just go through it and then really like get the big numbers out in the outdoor in March and May.
Right.
And then of course go to championships. And by that time, it's like you've only done 2 months of comp, which is like 3 to 4 meets. And then
Hmm.
all you do is train all the way up to tryouts, train, and then it's like that's your fifth meet, and then by your sixth meet, that's usually like a PR meet or like a season best.
Right.
So it's definitely been an interesting year, but I do believe that the training is there, the jumps are definitely there. It's just about connecting it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that it's such a fine edge. I find that it's when I'm working, I'm always working on positions. I'm like, okay, we need to get you leaning back more at takeoff, or I look at from heel strike to toe off, right in that area. Okay, where are we? If your lean is 5 degrees, or we're not running fast enough, you're not leaning enough. We should be 20, 25
Mhm.
degrees back here, right? And then let's look at toe off. Are you hitting vertical? Are you through a little bit? What can we change mechanically here? Where's your, is your knee drive pointing towards bid away? I mean, simple stuff, but really direct. And I'm more worried about those things than I am about bars early in the season. This is
Hmm.
deep. This is the stuff that's going to make bars for you later. It's like I
Yeah,
can work on teaching you how to worm your way over a bar, but what's the point? If
yeah,
you're a layout king, how are you going to get over the off the ground later on when it really matters? So,
definitely.
but at the same time, you got to get your timing right. Like you're talking
Mhm.
about, I need to figure out, how far away at what speed. And now you're talking about making a huge adjustment and going from a standing six step, right?
Yeah, well,
Instead,
it's a bit of a run-in right now.
you're running in to
Like
get
that's
carry
why
a little
I'm,
more. Yeah.
yeah. So I took a page from Barshiran's book because he did a short approach at the Olympics in 20. I want to say when I was in middle school, maybe not 21. It was like before that at Rio.
2016, the one in
Yeah,
Rio.
2016.
Rio, yeah.
Yeah, that one. And he had like a bit of like a step stutter.
Yeah.
And so I do that with my 10 step. And so I practically kind of put that in with my six. And
Yeah.
so in a way it almost becomes a eight step,
Yeah.
but you have some speed out the back. And then all you gotta worry about is really just like setting up those first two steps out the back. And then once you hit the curve, it's like you're kind of just
Yeah.
laying everything happen.
Absolutely. Well,
Yeah, but
the thing that I keep telling, and I'm working primarily again with high schoolers, but I do have some college kids, come train and a few elites pop by every once in a while. But it's like, I say, hey, it's much easier to control a shorter approach,
mhm,
because you can't go that fast. Like you're saying, you want to run into it. And I get the whole short approach thing. Because I remember my first year at UCLA was terrible as I was adjusting to, added weight and, you know,
mhm,
just college training, all that stuff. We didn't train anywhere near that hard in high school, even for football.
mhm,
So it was like, making those adjustments. But I had a terrible freshman year. But my sophomore year, when I started lifting a lot, the first time I jumped anything, we were doing standing five steps and I made 210 in practice. And I
yeah.
was like, well, okay, I'm back. That's what I did in high
Definitely.
school. And then I was
Yeah.
like, in high school, that was full approach. This is
Mhm.
standing five, and I'm like, and then during the season, and the first time I jumped 7 feet was from a standing five and I almost made 218. So I'm
Yeah.
like, and I learned then, I'm like, well, this is easy. The only problem I had was getting into the pit because
Mhm.
lower speed, I could convert it and get all the way up to the bar, but then I would stall, and I'm like,
Yeah.
so you start learning, well, I need a little bit more, through there. And then you're playing the game of, I had to find my little Romanian coach Baru, who coached at a local junior college, but he trained Brian Stanton and
Mhm.
got him to the trials and into the games in '88, Seoul. And Brian was amazing, but had amazing high cycling and beautiful jumper, 7'8",
Mhm.
But it was like he taught me get farther away from the bar as it goes up, and I never had a problem being too close to the bar because I was not a pretty layout guy. I was a knee drive guy. So I'm sure I had
Yeah.
okay spacing, but I didn't realize that as you got more aggressive, as the bar went up, you would end up a little crowded, and it was like, oh, that was like getting let out of prison for me. I was like, oh, all I got to do is back up. Great.
Definitely.
Now I can just let it rip.
Yeah.
So yeah, the timing, the spacing, and there's both spacing and timing, right? Like you got to
Yeah.
have your hips right over the bar at the right time as you're going over,
Yeah.
hopefully right in the middle, so you don't hit with your shoulders or your calves.
Yeah.
And then also just getting that interior timing in your head of
Yeah.
how long do I ride, right? How
Yeah.
how much more does it take to go from 7.2 to 7.4 or whatever,
Yeah. Definitely.
So yeah, there's a lot of work that goes in there, and that's the hard part. Like you say, where do I get those reps?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I feel like for a lot, especially like the technique stuff, it's almost to its own jumper. And like what I found out quickly is like since I am on the shorter like scheme of jumping, unfortunately at 5'11", it's like for me my biggest part of my jump isn't even my legs or the layout. It's really getting my top half over.
Right.
And so it's like, especially in high school, we worked on it a lot, but she was my main coach, Coach Debbie. She was really big on like, okay, like we want you to, of course, get a nice parabola over the bar.
Right.
But like if your body can't do that, let's figure something else out. And so we were like really trying to get me to do this. And I've never been able to do that ever. I don't know why, I don't know how, but it just never has happened.
Right.
But what we really worked on was like, okay, if you can't do that, we're gonna just do a little hip hop. and see if
Yeah.
I can send your legs over and work on letting your head hang and then
Yeah.
just kick your legs almost.
Yeah.
And so almost like a what's his name? Like a Javon Harrison.
Hmm.
Like he gets up and he has a little bit of an arch, but he really just kind of rides it, pops,
Yeah.
goes, and then calls it a day. And
Yeah.
so I figured out for myself it's like with that type of wave jumping, you're gonna need a lot of speed at the back. Because
Yeah.
since you're not worrying about making a nice parabol over the bar and you're only
Yeah.
about your hips, you need speed to carry you up in an angle to
Right.
get yourself to kick over.
Sure.
So it's like I feel like and the big thing for me, I told my coach is like for me it's not the jump, it's not the strength, it's not like the run because most of that stuff's probably gonna look the same for me. For me, the big course for me is a lot of speed training because it's like I need to get up there, and
Yeah.
being shorter trying to get up to 220 is going to need a lot of
Yeah.
speed. So I feel like a lot of the other stuff is kind of natural and just happens, but
Hmm.
almost like the more speed I have out the back, the better I get up off the ground, and it's
Yeah.
like kind of works in sync with, and then everything just follows. Like the form follows the
Right.
everything, just everything goes in.
Well, now you're preaching to the choir because I've been saying this for the last couple of years. It was kind of a realization that just came to me out of nowhere. But I'm like, I'm watching a lot of the European guys, that are Tamberi and, the different single armors, but even some of the double armors. And I'm starting to realize I'm like, the higher these guys are jumping, it's more speed than anything else. You gotta run really fast and lean back. Now, when I say you have to, there are still power guys out there that can cruise up
Mhm.
and jump high heights, and they're still really, really good, and they're
Yeah,
they're moving pretty good. They might not be as fast as everybody else, but they're
yeah,
still moving. But you look
yeah.
at some guys, it's really a speed game. I've been watching, when I watch Brian Krauser throw the shot, or
Mhm.
everything, I'm like, well, he's spinning through that ring fast. People,
Yeah,
everything's speed. Mondo running in the pole vault, he's a sprinter holding on to
fast.
the thing. I mean, he's amazingly fast. And
Yeah,
it translates almost everywhere. If you watch, I mean, to me, I've seen javelin throwers that are more based on speed than just a good arm. And that, for the most part, is true. It just doesn't matter what it is. I'm seeing the stinking marathon now is run under 2 hours. They're running
yeah.
26 straight miles of 4 minute, 50-minute mile, 4 minute, 50
Mhm.
second miles, which is like running, what, 65 or almost 70-second quarters
Hmm.
back to back to back to back to. I mean, it's like that's sprinting.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
sprinting with, speed
literally.
endurance. So you're looking at it going, it's
Yeah,
all about speed, even the distance races. So, when I came to that realization, like, yeah, sprinting technique and that explosive speed is huge, and you'd better
yeah,
have someone in your corner who understands speed training. Plyos are important. Everything.
definitely.
I tell everybody, I go, hey, sprinting is very plyometric. It's
Hmm.
like
It's
it's
like the
pretty much
base.
explosive jumping from one
Yeah,
leg to the other,
it's
with a
also
little
the base because like
cycling in the middle.
yeah, it's like if you have good sprint mechanics and you're able to be comfortable at higher speeds, you're probably more likely. One, I feel like when I almost like I'm since I'm a bit of a speed jumper, it's like my legs don't gotta do the work when I hit the ground.
Hmm.
It's so quick, so explosive that's like it's effortless.
Yeah.
And then when my legs do the effort, I know it was a bad jump. It's like, okay, I was
Yeah.
flat, didn't enough
Tried
speed.
to
So it's
power
like,
it.
yeah, it's like it takes away all that pain that you should like that you feel
Hmm.
because you're just getting slingshot up on the bar.
Yeah.
And then all you gotta worry about is like, okay, my hips, let me wait a
Yeah.
little bit, let me throw my legs.
Right.
Yeah, like it's an advantage and a disadvantage, I think. Like for me especially, I get really amped up the higher the bar goes. So my coach is constantly telling me, move back, move back, move back, move back. So like in a way, it's a bit of a problem. But I think like once you hone it in, like like a bar shim or even like a Harrison, like once you get it,
Yeah.
it's it's
Yeah.
sky's the limits.
Why the really interesting thing for me studying Javon Harrison is amazingly what an incredible athlete. But to make the Olympic high jump final in the long and the high, which hadn't been
Hmm.
done in over 100 years. The famous Jim Thorpe did it back in 1912. You're like,
Hmm.
wow, that hasn't been done in a real long time. But
Yeah.
I'm watching him, and I honestly, I swear, I have never seen him take the same jump twice. It
Never.
never looks the same. It looks like he's just creating it on the fly.
Yeah.
So he drives his knee up, which everybody does, but then he
Yeah.
brings the trail leg up and he's
Yeah.
got them both there together. Then he pops both hips and throws
Yep.
it down. Sometimes I've seen one, then the other again, like he's doing a
Yeah.
hitch through the air.
It's almost like all depend on the bar and
Yeah, yeah,
Some jumpers are
real
that way. I'm that way when it like for a lot of my jumps. Like it just kind of happens.
right.
I feel like also it's almost like a natural thing. It's not like I'm thinking about it. It's
Hmm.
just like my body's like knows like, hey, you gotta do this to get this. And if you don't
Right.
do this, it's not gonna happen. And so like
Yeah,
almost it's like your body just takes over and your mind
yeah.
shuts off and you just let it happen.
Right. And that's it's
But
creative, right? It's what do you call it? Having exceptional bar awareness. Like you got to know
yeah,
where you are in space, where the bar is in space, and how to get your parts over, right? In
yeah,
some kind of a sequence
definitely.
that's going to work. Right. And that's,
Literally.
like I've been teaching the kids that I've been working with just recently in high school. I'm like, okay, if your hands are up and your knees up and you haven't thrown your head back yet. I go, you've got all your moves left to you. You're riding that knee and you're looking because I swear I've seen Barshim looking to where he can see straight down the bar and then he hammers it.
Hmm.
Until he gets there, he will
Literally.
not throw his head back. So it's like I'm trying to teach them the visual, but I'm like, maybe it's an internal cue for you, maybe you're a visual because I
Yeah,
I don't assume that everybody's the same. I've learned that a long time ago. So it's
yeah,
like if you can figure out the move, I said, but what I like for me, it was easier to
yeah,
go all three of these moves at the same time. Hands to hips, pop the hips,
yeah,
pull the shoulders towards your heels. But I go,
yeah.
again, that's me. I go, if that
Everyone's
works
different.
for you, I can demonstrate that for you because that's what I did. I can still do it with a box and 5 feet. I can still show you that sequencing so that you understand the move. But I go, but there are other people out there that are like savants. Like I go, you can watch Javon Harrison. I go, his is very unorthodox, but you can't sit there and go, that doesn't work because he's jumped 7, 8 and 3/4 and he, went to the Olympics in 2021.
Mhm.
Now, last year, it didn't look good at all. So whatever was going on there, I mean, I noticed that he started his gather at the top of the curve and was
Yeah,
carrying his arms for 3 steps. And I'm like, I don't think that's going to work, because it's just,
yeah,
you can't run without your arms, right? So,
yeah,
but everybody's got to go through transitions. Maybe he was trying something new, I don't know. But
yeah.
it's
That's
it
true.
there's so many different ways. That's why
There's
we changed the name of the business to the Skyhines Fly Jump Lab
yeah,
because I literally tell them, I go, I'm kind of experimenting on you with
yeah,
your permission. It's like
yeah.
let's
It's
just
very like instinctual. I feel like
yeah.
if I ever get into coaching for high jump, I would never change the jumpers like way of getting over.
Hmm.
I would just try to maybe like like let's say they really toss their head really fast. Okay,
Hmm.
that's bad, but I mean I feel like in mid season I would never try to train that out of them.
Right.
I'm like, okay, if you're tossing your head back really fast, let's try to bring some more speed. So maybe we can just like shoot you up really fast, but you can
Right.
still feel comfortable coming over. Because
Hmm.
like at Liberty, that's what they tried to do to me, and it really messed me up bad.
Yeah.
Like they're like, oh, you gotta hold longer. Like like a lot of our trains became like I'm trying to hold longer than it was even about bar work. And I am a bit of a shooter, I call it, where it's like I knock it in like really quick,
Hmm.
but like also it's like I shoot but stay here.
Yeah.
And then once I reach it, you'll see not my head go back, you'll see my back just like flick. And
Right.
then I'm good. And so like I feel like yeah, so once I get into coaching, it's like I would never change the jumper's way of getting over. I
Hmm.
think I'd maybe change like their run up, their setup, maybe the plant step. Because I feel like those are the big three
Yeah.
that really dictate you actually making over the bar cleanly.
Right.
So yeah, it's very I think instinctual. Like I've always jumped like that. I've always been a let me gather really quick and move one arm.
Right.
And like it works for me, but like if a coach were to tell me like different, I would definitely
Yeah.
listen. But if
Yeah.
it didn't work, then I'd probably keep doing the same thing that
Right.
I've done
Right.
before.
Well, the proof is in the
But
pudding.
yeah,
Like when you start
definitely.
working on it, if you feel a difference in the lift or the takeoff or your rotation over the bar or whatever, and you're like, okay, I can see this working. It you can see it right as you're looking at the video. If it doesn't,
Yeah.
you can just toss that away. I mean, I've had people where I go, I want to try a modified single with you, because some people are driving their arms up and they're getting them this high instead of getting them all the way up. For instance,
Oh,
you might have seen his post on Instagram, Jordan Randall, that he's 5'8.5". He's jumping in Indiana, and he's a junior
mhm.
this year, and he's jumped 7'2.5", and
Okay.
he's at 5'8". I mean, he's like you're a shorter stature, 5'11" is short, but for a high jumper,
Yeah.
when you look at Kerr, who's 6'7", you're like, yeah, I'm a
Yeah.
tiny little guy compared to them. But Jordan is like this at take. I mean, he
Yeah.
looks like he's reaching up and he's a double arm, a middle blocker in volleyball,
Yeah.
or he's grabbing the rim with both hands, right? So I'm like, well,
Yeah.
he's got that move, but it's like not everybody does a double arm. Some people
Yeah.
are kind of lazy double arm. They don't get both arms back. And I'm like, I like to get both arms back behind you, but I do know that it's important to get everything timed where your arms
Yeah.
and your knee are coming up. So whatever we're doing, let's try to change your center of mass and do it fast. But the thing that drives me nuts as a coach, and maybe it's something I need to work on, is let's try to be consistent. If you're going to
Mhm.
be a double armor, then let's get them ready. If you're going to be a
Yes.
single armor, then I want to get that arm higher than you're used to because yours is here. And, as it's creeping up, I think it's truer to a single armor, because
Mhm.
your single armor is not even going to use this arm. They're just going to get
Yeah.
tall, right? Because they're too busy running fast. So, well, hey, what's talking about all the technical stuff? You've got the ACCs all coming up, or you already had that?
So we just did that. That was literally we got back yesterday.
Just got back. And how did you do
Yeah.
there?
I did all right.
You
It was
said
just
it
one.
wasn't fabulous, but you got through it.
Yeah.
And then you
Yeah,
have
we got through.
qualified for the NC2As?
Not yet. So we still have regional to go. So basically now it's like you get to be top, yeah, top 12 in your region to
Right.
go on to NCAs. And it goes basically the bar starts at I'm pretty sure it's like it goes 205, I want to say 205, 209. No, 25 to no wait, no, no. Let me think. I want to say it's 5, 10,
15.
12, 15,
Okay.
18. Pretty sure
Okay.
it's like in that version. And then it stops at 18. But basically like the way you get through, clean through every single one, jump to 18.
Right.
Like, and if you mess up one bar, well, better jump to 18. Like, it's really that simple.
So what is this particular meet that you're talking about now? Is this like a last chance meet or
This is, yeah, it's like a last chance, basically regionals. So they take the 24 from each region, separate them out, and then they take the top 12, whoever finished top 12 in those regions, put them on the nationals list. And
okay.
then following 2 weeks later, you go to nationals.
So you're still working your way through
So,
that. You gotta beat
yeah.
some
So we
people
got
and get
regionals.
through that.
Yeah, so that's next week. Next week is regionals, which is like the biggest meet of the year for me personally. I think
Right.
that's the biggest one.
And where's that
Like
one at?
nationals, that would be in University of North Florida. So where we jump for states every year in high school, it'll be right back there.
So you're familiar with that one.
I love that track. That's like my favorite track to jump on ever. I think it's really good for speed jumpers
Hmm.
because it's so fast, but also at the same time has like a good amount of cushion in it that you can just like you just run. If you run and you jump, you're good to go.
Yeah.
You don't gotta think. You don't gotta like. It's a beautiful track. So
Yeah.
you
That's
run
so
and you jump.
funny you bring that up. That's something we haven't really talked about much on the show, but there are places that you go that for whatever reason, and I'm sure any athlete in any sport can tell you that there's places that they love to play and there's places that suck. So my experience is anywhere indoor qualifies for that for me. I do not like indoors. I have yet to like the experience. I've never done well at it. And I'm retiring officially. I'm 61 years old. I just did a master's meet in February, like the week after my birthday or the same weekend,
Mhm.
and it was in Florida. We were at Gainesville in this
Mhm.
tiny little place, and they stuck us in this tiny little corner in the back. And I was so claustrophobic and cramped, and they didn't let me warm up very well. And I was just like, this is annoying already.
Yeah.
And the other two times I did it in high school, I know I did once at the indoor meet called the Sunkist out here in LA,
Mhm.
and because they had 12 feet of curve and I was at 20.
Mm.
So, and at 12 feet, you fell off of this thing down onto concrete. So it better be 12. And I
Yeah.
couldn't make that work. And then the next time was after I'd left UCLA, I jumped at the LA Times indoor and I was a little bit better, but I think I might have jumped 205 or something. And then this last time I jumped the astounding height of like 165. It was just 5'3", and I'm like, okay, I did that in eighth grade, so I may have to temper what I'm thinking. And
Yeah.
I remember looking at the videos going, man, what I'm thinking that I look like and what I actually look like are two terribly different things. But
Yeah.
I think back to both high school, every time that I PR'd up until my senior year was at Lakewood High School. I was in Long Beach in California, And every time we went to Lakewood High School, it was only 3 steps on the tartan. It was grass,
Mhm.
but it was for whatever reason, I loved it there. I
Yeah.
every time I PR'd was there. And then
Yeah.
until the big meet at the end, which was Cerritos College. So I had two in a row at Cerritos College. And then in UCLA, when I got to UCLA, every time, actually, I take that back. I thought they were all at home, but there was one on the road. I did jump 7-2 at Cal.
Mm.
So I was going to say everything at home. But for whatever reason, like you're saying, as soon as you said that with those glowing terms, I'm like, I know exactly what you're saying, man. That
No,
place,
it's like a feel thing almost. It's like you just
yeah.
know what it is. And like the big Wake Forest thing, I felt like the first day, especially came out to jump, I was like, this track feels so weird. Just for me. Because it
Hmm.
was like almost like since I'm so fast off the ground's not even catching me for real. So I'm almost trying to like be cautious of like, hey, let me like put every step down.
Right.
So it was like it was a struggle. But and I'm gonna struggle and thought I wasn't clearing the bars clean. More of a struggle because like I had to think like, hey, let me put every foot down correctly because if I don't, like I'm going to slip.
Yeah.
So it was good. But yeah, you and I love UNF. It's like it's really good material, very fast, a nice like hard yet like gushy surface, and like
So
as
it's
long as
not
you
like
run and you
Mondo,
don't.
right? Mondo's really hard and fast. And then I
Yeah,
always
it's not
feel
really
like
like
Mondo just beats you up.
yeah, it's not really that hard. I don't know how to even describe it. It's like a mix between hard and soft, but it's more hard than
Hmm.
soft. It's nice. I
Yeah.
love it. Like I love it personally.
Yeah.
Love it.
Well, I
Yeah.
used to get these stories from the guys back in the day when I was at UCLA. Lee Balkin and some of the guys that were jumping way higher than I was, they were telling me about these different places that they would go indoor
Mhm.
where they would literally experiment on where to put the standards. So they'd be
Mhm.
like, jumping up and down on certain spots to see if there was a
Yeah.
little flex to it, and whatever. And
Yeah.
like, okay, we're gonna put this is the spot. So then they would put the standards down and fix it from there. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, that sounds like fun, because
That sounds
I'm sure
great.
you've had that experience when you jump on a really good basketball floor
Yeah.
where, where other places you feel like you got to work to dunk, all of a sudden you're just like, elbows above the rim.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that was nice. It's like
Literally. Literally.
springboard effect. Yeah. That's
But I think also almost that goes to every jumper too. Like if I feel like if you're a speed jumper, you're really gonna love Mondos or
mhm.
like hard surfaces because like you don't gotta really you just get to run and jump.
Yeah.
If you're more of like a strength jumper, one that like is really like slow almost,
Right.
you're gonna love a slower track, one that feels nice and like gushy, have a lot
Right.
of cushion to it. So it's like it all depends on what you do. But in
Yeah.
college, you can't really choose that in college. So like whatever you're given with, you just jump.
Yeah. Absolutely. So fill us in too. It's been a while, Kennedy. What are your personal best now is what,
Yeah,
how high?
definitely. It's still the same. Unfortunately, it's still the same. We got really, really close last year in indoor, and I hit 221. Had a
Hmm.
good like twice. I hit 221 twice. Got really good competition at 224. It was like right there. So we
Yeah.
had a good setup kind of for this year. Then of course outdoor just got my body just got tired. I was spending a lot more time recovering than I was even trained. Like it was bad. And
Yeah.
then this year with the whole injury and all that stuff, I'm stuck at 213 right now for my season's best. But it's
Right.
like from the videos I'm seeing and the practices I'm having, I know there's more in the tank. It's literally just about doing it.
Yeah.
So I do expect, like I think later on this season, I will be able to reach 224 again,
Hmm.
maybe even 225. But it's more of a like I think patience this year, and then go out next year, train the whole season, and really
Right.
nail it down before I set up the cleats. Not even set up the
Right.
cleats before I transition to the next phase of track.
Right. So your PR net is now 224.
Yep.
Awesome. So for those listening, that's what 7.4 1/4, right? 225 is 4.5. So
Yeah.
224 is like 4.25. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the Olympic trial height back when I was trying to make it in 1984. So
Oh wow.
there was no B standard back then. It was either that or bust. And then all
Mhm.
I kept doing every year that I stayed around. So in 84, I was still in college. In 88, when I was trying to do it and I took a year off college, it was up to 225. And
Mhm.
then by 92, it was up to 226. They kept moving it up on me.
Yeah. It's high. It's high now. It's really high now.
And I wasn't getting any better. That was my problem. I jumped higher in 1986, which was right in between two Olympic years, and then I was a consistent 7.2, but I couldn't seem to get 4 or 5 or whatever. So, so jealous. Do you have any current? videos, or I don't know if we've ever looked
Yeah,
at your stuff before. If you
definitely.
have one, yeah,
I've
send me one and we'll break
come.
it down. Which one do you want to
All
do
right, what was
first?
this?
What's your favorite out of these? I've got
Let's do. Trying to see which one is which. So last ones are off the box practice.
right.
Yeah, let's do the second one. 'Cause that's like a really good strong jump that I felt was
Okay,
like
so I've
really
got
easy.
three up at the top that look like a meat. One of them I can see a
Yeah, so
corner in the
the
foreground. So the one in the
first one
middle.
is yeah, the first one's 209. The second one is 212. The last one's 212 as well.
Okay, let's
It's
see
different angles.
if I got that. Yeah, I'm getting a little bit more creative. I used to be just a straight down the bar guy, but I'm starting to get here and there where I'm like, okay, I want to see this just from this one angle
Yeah.
just for a sec.
And the last one you'll really be able to see like the fact that I kind of not even like almost sit on the bar until I get my hips there.
Right.
As like my personal cue.
Okay, that's one. So I got the second one, and then what was the other one you wanted? Out of the first three, I took the second, and then out of the practice ones,
I'll
which
probably
one?
say
Yeah.
let me look.
Let's see. We can do this. Okay, Kennedy one.
Probably the last one of these ones.
Okay. Let me move this to the desktop so we can do that. Okay, I've got that one sitting there. And then the last one you said?
Yeah, and I'll send one
Window,
more, like a good one.
video saved.
Let's see.
This is something my Barbara taught me. Barbara Vachoka, my number one from Canada. She's like, do everything and shoot them vertical. Because when you try to make
Literally.
reels and their landscape, they don't translate well. So it's like, oh crap.
hmm
Okay,
I
Kennedy
learned the same lessons.
two. All right, so we got one and two. Is that one up there? And then you sent
And
me
also a
one.
short approach stuff, so I'll send one long approach, like one my full approach.
Got you.
Pretty sure this should be it.
Oh yeah. I love the box jumps. Yeah, dude, that knee drive for a guy that's talking about just speed, man, that knee really gets up there.
Yeah, it gets up there. It carries me the whole way through.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're not really, like I said, you're not popping your hip a whole lot. Your head's already back. So you
Yeah.
do a little right when you need it. It looks like you've got because you can't be looking at it, but you definitely right as you're there, you can see one knee's way higher than the other, and then all of a sudden they level out. So you got to be
Literally.
popping it a little
They
bit,
kind of just like yeah, they just connect randomly.
right?
hmm
All right. And we got one more coming. Let me see.
Yeah, that this is a indoor my full approach. And that's on 221.
Okay. Nice. 221 is a height I never
And that's
attempted.
not far that you really but yeah, with that last one you really could see how much I think like how controlled that run is, but also how aggressive you get in the curve.
Hmm.
And I just kind of sails it over.
Yeah, the curve is really where the finer parts of the high jump come out for me. How you run it, how you transition out of it, can you hit vertical, so many
Mhm.
things in there. Foot plant angle, I've been really doing a lot of work with foot plant angle depending on the speed and the power of the person, but I don't, have you ever seen Anika McPherson's jumps? She's I
Who?
think she's
Oh
in
yes, yes.
she's like a little pixie, right? She was like 5'4", maybe looked like
Yeah.
110 pounds dripping wet and super
Yeah.
fast. And she looked like she was approaching the bar like she was going to hurdle it. Like her foot
Yeah.
plant angle is almost straight ahead. And
hmm
I'm like, I don't think anybody but she could get away with that. She's like,
Yeah.
but she would lean back and drive that knee up and across. And even as a single armor, she'd get her back to the bar, which was like a 180-degree turn and
Yeah.
still tremendous rotation and everything else. I was like just blown away with that. And I'm like, I don't expect anybody to be able to do that angle, but I'm like,
hmm
yeah. Okay, so I'm still got the three and the three. I don't have another one.
Oh, let's see. I think it's just lagging. Let me see if I can. Turn my Wi-Fi on. Or I could just screen share print maybe.
Yeah, we could do it on that end. If you screen share, you just have to run it on your end and it would hopefully it would pick it
Maybe
up.
it's.
Or if you send it to me, I can screen share and then I can manipulate it, but I don't care who's really pulling the trigger on.
I think we'll send through eventually. Yep,
Oh,
there
here
it
we
goes.
go.
Just sent.
I got it. I see it.
Awesome.
Video saved. Good, good, good. Now,
Oh.
Kennedy in action. I love it. All right.
Yeah.
AirDrop, Mac Air. Waiting. I'm waiting. Here we go. Kennedy 3. So much more polished at this now. I used to be just so lame, but
That's
I'm
good. Yeah.
getting faster at everything. I'm still a dinosaur, but I'm a faster dinosaur. Okay.
That's,
And there's 3. All right. So those are all waiting. Yes. And now I will find the window that has us on it, which is where? Here. Pull that back up. All right. We're going to share screen and desktop and share. And we don't need that. Okay, I guess I can allow that. I don't know why. All right, so here's the first meat one.
yeah.
And you get to talk us through this one. This is vertically shot. And of course, the part about this that's weird is it won't stretch out any wider.
Mm,
So these are the
that's
little
hard.
things I don't know how to change. So
Yeah.
can you see that at all? Is that any good?
Let me zoom. I can zoom on my. Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, so, and again, let's start from the beginning. It looks like a one,
Yeah.
2, 3, 4. One,
That's where I start right
two,
there. That's the start.
3, 4. Oh, so the rest of that's just
That's the
you have
running.
a
The rest of
spot
that's the running.
on the ground where you can hit.
Yeah.
So right about there.
Right there.
One,
Yep.
two,
Two,
three,
three,
4, 5.
4, 5, 6.
Yeah. So it's a 5-step curve or a 6-step curve?
6 step curve.
Okay. Interesting. And all right. And again, unfortunately I can't blow this up. I can't really see. I know based on your other jumps, but look at how high your knees are finishing over. I mean, that's
Yeah.
your knees are way over. Your hips are a little bit closer. Like you said, that
Yeah.
you don't have that traditional high arch, right?
Yeah.
You are getting tremendous rotation on the
Yeah.
back end.
And that's really just from I think really is that knee drive and also that other knee connecting is like I'm so focused on almost backflipping over that bar that when
Right.
I do those two like knees is literally
Mhm.
me just kicking
Yeah.
to like traject like to basically have the trajectory just flip me over.
Now, has anybody talked to you? I have one colleague who is really big on trying to get the takeoff leg to swing up really fast
Yeah.
in the position. So I'm watching your leg as you take off, and there right away you're straight. And then as you're flying, man, that leg is already coming up. I tell the kids it's like landing gear on an airplane, you know. When you
Yeah.
take off, that you immediately pull up the landing gear. So
Hmm.
here you are. And is that something that you work on, or is that just completely natural?
It's honestly been natural. I have like a really video. I have a video when I was little doing high jump in like 7th grade, and I started out my first meet doing that,
Hmm.
and it just happened. And
I've
like
never
I've
yeah,
seen jumpers like almost struggle with it in a way,
right.
and it's kind of always been natural. Just never
Yeah.
really struggled with it.
I've never even thought about it, to be honest. I think mine just does it also, but
Yeah,
I've never thought, I always
but
thought
it's
I could delay it a little bit and, carry fine. But it seems to me that as soon as you start to rotate across,
yeah,
like your body wants to get shorter so it'll spin faster. So it's like
hmm,
as soon as I swing both legs up, I'm going to be shorter. I just demonstrate that for my
yeah,
jumpers. I go, look, I'm standing here, I'm 6'3", with my hands
literally,
up, I'm well over 7 feet tall. So I
yeah,
go, if I bring my hands back down, I'm just 6'3". And then when I
yep,
drop down to my knees, I go, how tall am I now? And I don't
hmm,
have any more flexibility than that. I'm not going to get any shorter because I cannot get my hips to move forward or my shoulder to get any closer to my heels. If you
yeah,
think you're stiff in the air, you haven't got anything on me.
yeah,
So, that's as short as it can get. But I go from 7 whatever down to 5 whatever, that's a 2-foot drop. And as you're doing that while you're going up and you're starting to spin across, you're gonna spin faster. That's a
yeah,
proven, physics fact. That's like watching an ice skater, spinning around, pulling their arms in,
mhm,
or someone flipping around in gymnastics, right, from a layout to a tuck. So it's like I'm curious because Coach Ron Lee out here, his son Sean was a 7'3" jumper in high
Hmm.
school and at UCLA. And he was like, "Yeah, I want to get that leg up as fast as possible." I'm like, I don't know if
Yeah,
that's is it. Do I have to do it right away? But like yours isn't dawdling. Yours is as soon as you're
yeah.
going off,
It takes up. It goes boom.
yeah, it's coming up. So the only thing I would tell people is, if you look at it, you almost kicked that bar off with that foot. Like
Yeah.
it's
I don't know
a
how,
couple
but
inches from the
like
bar,
I've never kicked a bar off of my foot, which is kind of crazy.
right?
But it's like I don't know. It just kind of just works for me.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like every high jumper is different. Like I think my jump form is very unorthodox. I
Hmm.
don't think it looks anything like anybody normally does. I have a very short arch over the bar, a very
Yeah.
quick takeoff. Like you don't even see an arch for real.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's there. It's there, but it's not there.
Right.
But it's like
Well,
once
you
you
said
see me
your
actually
head's
get
already
it,
back almost right
yeah.
away.
But I'm still going up if you see
Yes.
it.
Yeah.
And then once I kick, it's like I'm basically backflipping over the bar 100%.
Tremendous rotation at the top. Okay, so
Yeah.
this one we should be able to see a little more. Let's see. We're at off the box
Yeah.
outside. So let's make this big. Ah, look at that. That happened by accident. I don't know how I did
Look
that.
at that. That's
Wait.
all good. This one's probably look a lot better.
Yeah, we can see better.
But yeah, same thing. Like leg goes up really quick, good
Yeah.
position.
See, I like this because I preach this lean back angle. What I'd like to even get on yours, I'd say if we could line up your upper body even more with that leg,
Yeah.
lean you back, right?
Yeah.
Even more back. You got the knee up and it is working its way across. It's not doing it before you're off the box. That's one thing I've noticed. I just broke down Tamberry. Somebody in Tamberry's camp or somebody that was just loves Tamberry did a post on Instagram that showed almost his whole 2016 season
Hmm.
encapsulated. And it was just all these jumps, right? Boom, boom, boom. And it would show the height and it would show where it was. And in 2016, he had to be one of the tops in the world because these were like 230, 233, 230,
Yeah.
239, 237. You're like boom, 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 boom. And then one 239 and then one tremendous miss at 240. And I'm
Yeah.
watching that. I'm like, I don't even remember Tamberi in 2016 at the Olympics. And I found out
Hmm.
he rolled his ankle
Yeah.
right before the Olympics. And I'm like,
Literally.
oh, so that's why he was so stoked when he beat Barshim. He
Yeah.
finally got the gold because he looked like he was going to be right there in that mix.
Literally.
I'm envisioning that great jump final between Barshim, Druin from Canada, and
Hmm.
Bondarenko with
Yeah.
Barry in there. And that would
Mhm.
have been amazing because I don't think I don't think Druin ever missed. And then I think Barshim missed once. And that was the
Yeah.
difference between him and the gold and the silver. And then
Literally.
Bondarenko was all over the road. Like he opened at 225. He was
Yeah.
never even jumping the same heights with the other two. It was weird
Hmm.
if you watch it again. And then the YouTube one is kind of funny because it shows everybody getting introduced. I'm like, hey, there's Brandon Stark. I really like watching him. And hey, there's this guy. And then
Yeah.
it goes right to the three of them and it ignores everything.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh. But it
Literally.
really was just those three in the
Yeah.
end. So yeah. But
Lit-
I love
Yeah.
this. Here, look how vertical. If you're looking here on TV or on YouTube here, and you're seeing the visual right here, Kennedy is literally pretty straight up and down here. There's a tiny bit of maybe a cross, like you're saying with your head, but I don't see it as pulling
In the
your
bottom.
whole body across at all.
Yeah. It's
And
just my
then
head.
yeah, and that wide arm spread right there, that's like look like an albatross right there, man. Your arms are way
Yeah.
out across there, right? So you're that's like throwing the head back to the heavens, and the knee is just still going like crazy. And like I said, not a huge layout arch guy, but again, you
Just
see
like
the one knee come
a little
down to the
tilt.
other right here, tiny little hip pop, and then pulling over, and you're landing way up on your mid back and shoulders for
Yeah.
sure. So, all right, and this is. I love these boxes. I had somebody ask me, "Where do you get those?" I'm like, "I don't know. I'm working at two different places
Yeah.
that have
And also if you go
on my
back a
feet,
little
one on
bit,
either
I
side."
love
Yeah.
it. Yeah. If you go back a little bit,
Hmm.
like going into the curve, one
Oh,
thing I think like
I
you're
lost
good.
the size. How did I lose the size? Wait. Nope, that wasn't it. That was the wrong button. Come on back to me, 22. Just come on back. Where'd it go? How did I make it that
Also,
small? Wait a minute. See, this is
right,
where the dinosaur thing
you might have
comes.
to open up again.
Okay, there's
Yeah.
that.
All right. So yeah, if you go back where I kind of start hitting the curve, which I think is a big thing for me in general.
But
Okay, so hold on. We're backing up. Boom, 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 boom. All right. So
yeah. Okay,
where does
so
your curve
see, so
start?
right here, so when I start, it's like I start kind of hips down, right?
Yeah.
And that's building speed. And I'm like a little front. Once I hit the curve, you're gonna see my body get like taller, and
Uh-huh.
now I'm really straight up, like immediately.
Yes.
So I keep going.
So which part are we looking for exactly? Oh, I'm losing Kennedy. How did I lose you?
Oh wow, hold up. I think I am back.
Okay.
My bad.
All right. So you're talking
Okay,
about
my bad. Yeah.
you're kind of hunched over here as you're sprinting, and then as you start the curve, you're saying you stand up taller,
Yeah,
right?
my body starts getting my hips come up.
Yeah.
Which now it's like I'm already in a position to take it up. And it's like since my hips are up, since everything's in position to be back, I'm not having
Yeah.
to work myself into the curve. It's like I'm
Right.
already there, and all I gotta worry about is my hips.
Right.
And
Right.
everything follows.
Well, this makes sense to me because one of the trade secrets for a lot of people is said, look, sprint speed is great. We need that speed and everything else. But I said, but I don't need you to be a sprinter that can jump. I
Yeah,
need you to use speed to be a jumper. So,
exactly.
for instance, the way you're starting to get going to me is just like a guy getting out of the blocks, right? You're
Yep,
down
literally.
low,
It's
you're
a block. Yep, it's
driving,
a block.
you're not really cycling your feet, right? It's just push, 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 and we're getting up to speed. But once you get on the curve, I'm like, I've noticed it doesn't matter who does it. If it's power bound start like Druin and Sotomayor was the same, right? Power bound, like triple jump bounding, boom, long stride, boom, boom. But when they drop into the curve, you see that high cycling, knees up, feet kicking in the butt, all that stuff. And like I said, very vertical. So you're
Yeah,
sprinting along, you're picking up speed, and all of a sudden, boom, now you're up. And you can see that your
yeah,
upper body is very vertical, right? You get the leg out in front of you, and then bam, now we're going up. So yeah,
yeah.
I like that a lot. I've preached that for a
Actually,
while. I'm like, there's a transition. You can either do it right away, and this is another big one for me. And I've noticed this with different skill levels or speed. So notice right here, the last two, this heel toe transition. A lot of people are not getting a heel toe here, which to me usually means they're still forward. If
hmm
I'm not hitting heel
definitely.
toe, I can't really be leaning back yet. Now, it's really
Mhm.
difficult to transition to being back if you're forward,
Yeah,
up to a step
definitely.
before, whereas which is where I think those single armors that are really fast, they might give some of that away, which just means I got to be a little bit farther out and maybe I don't hit vertical quite as well, but I'm
Yeah,
still going to carry speed because I'm hauling it.
definitely.
But hey, I love that, man. That knee drive to me, that's all I preach. I don't know if you were like me, but when
Yeah,
I watched that Olympic final with McEwen. McEwen's opening jump at 7-1, his knee
hmm
was A1 if it was anywhere. I mean, he was a foot over that bar, and it
yeah,
looked like he just kind of looked down at it and went, "Oh, I guess I'll lean back a little." Like he
yeah.
didn't bother to punch his hips or do anything else. I mean, the knee drive was so
Yeah.
stupid. It was like, a foot of
That's
clearance.
how. That's how my jumps feels. Like I'm like, okay, let me look. I'm looking. Okay, I'm gonna go. I'm
Yeah,
not really trying to like pull. I'm not trying to like do any extras. Like, let me get up there.
right.
I'm up there. Let me look at my legs. Okay, I think about my knee. Let me go.
Yep, yep.
It's
And
almost
that,
like it's like a feel thing at this point. It's like I know where
right.
I'm at. I know what to do. And
I had
yeah.
that same reaction watching Kerr's winning jump in the jump off because it looked to me
Mhm.
like Kerr just said, "All right, you know, to heck with this. I'm over this thing."
Yeah.
It's like
Like your body kind of just sits on you. Like, oh,
yeah,
that's it.
we're ending this jump off now because he
Literally.
literally it's 7, 8 and 3/4, but he drives
Yeah.
his knee 4 inches over that, and he just looks like he goes, "Oh yeah," like you're saying, like, "Oh well, I'll just pop
Yeah.
this hip a little bit right here, and I'm
Yeah.
good."
And that's why I sent the third one, the first reel, because you could see my body literally look at it like, oh, I'm good. And I literally
Yeah,
just close my eyes and land. Kind of same thing with this one. You'll see it too. This is a full approach. This is my like full 10 step over
right.
220. So there's like a lot more speed. And on my
Is
10
this at
steps,
Liberty? This is when you're back at
no, this
Liberty?
is at Miami at AC's indoor for
Okay.
Boston. But yeah, with this on my 10 step, my first four steps are very, very wide. Like I kind of throw out the sprint mechanic and just automatically turn on the jump mechanic.
Yeah,
Because it's like I don't need to be hauling out there. I just need two good pushes and keep moving.
right. Now, when you plant,
And
I can't see it here because this girl's in the way in the yellow shirt.
yeah,
is your foot plant parallel or is it pointed towards the back corner or where are you at?
It's almost in between.
Yeah.
It it depends on a lot of jumps, but it's almost like it's like parallel and point at the mat in a way,
Yeah.
but it's not exactly an either or,
Right.
if you know
I
what I
know
mean.
it's hard. It's hard I tell people, I go, look, and it's one of those things for me, it's the lab. So let's play around with it, right? If I'm pointing it at the back corner, can I get the knee around from there?
Mhm.
Because that's huge for me. I've seen too many videos of the elites that are jumping 7.8 and 7.9 with that knee all the way across. Like, any of the single armors. Stephen Holm does not get his knee to where it's blocking your view. It's his other hip. Like he
Yeah,
gets that knee across so fast, but it doesn't go up and across. It just goes across. And he's only
literally.
5'11
Yeah,
like you, and he's jumped 7'11,
yeah.
right? So I'm like,
Mhm.
is it important to get your knee really up or is it just the across? And
Yeah,
again, now you're talking about
I
other
think it
variables. So
depends.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think it just depends. Like sometimes I think the speed of the knee is important. I know the speed of the knee is important because you can't get higher if your knee is slow.
Right.
But the way that it turns or the way that it points, I think that's just dependent on the jumper. But I think having a very strong and fast knee is it's like a slingshot. It's just gonna
Right.
bring you up there.
Well, the
And then
other
by the
thing
time you're
I've noticed about knee drive is that if that foot kind of scrapes on the ground, like if you don't cycle your right leg as you go into the knee drive, to me it's a little bit of power as opposed to speed because the speed guys, like if you watch Barshim, Tamberi, Holm, all those guys, Brandon Stark, that foot will come up and kick them in the butt before the knee comes around,
yeah,
right? Or as
yeah,
it's going, but the leg gets shorter and therefore it's got to move faster. If your leg is longer
yeah,
because you don't cycle that foot, you got to drag the whole leg and drive it
yeah,
up, right? And across. So
definitely.
yeah, there's so many variables. Like when I say I can't tell kids, I don't go, this is the only way to do this. It's like
Yeah,
there's a lot of things going on here and I can show you how they work and we just got to kind of, figure out what's going to work, best for you. So
yeah,
that's the fun part,
definitely.
right? I want to make a video game where you can literally pick your high jumper or okay, I want to be a speed guy. Okay, I want to come from the
Yeah.
left and I want to cycle the takeoff leg, but I want to do a single arm reach for my heel and
Mhm.
whatever. You pick and choose all the way through.
Definitely.
So, all right, well, we got Kennedy in action 3 times. Very solid work. And we're aiming for 7. What do you have to jump this year? You're talking about getting through the NC2As and the worlds. How do we do that?
Definitely. So honestly, regionals is really just getting through because the bar is at 218. So 218, get over that. Nationals, the goal is to jump 224, 225.
Right.
Because if I do that, that's gonna set me up really well to be
Yeah.
able to go like maybe to another meet in the summer and hopefully
Right.
be able to jump like a 227, maybe 230, you know.
Yeah. And the
And
under
like I would say that's very
23s,
reasonable.
right? You mentioned the under 23s as
Yeah.
well. So,
Literally. So now I can actually go and compete at a USA meet. So I think it's very reasonable. I feel like a 218 is a good setup for
yeah,
most of the 20s and stuff like that. And then once you clear 24, 25, it's a good setup for the 27s and the 30s.
absolutely.
And also depending on the progression that you go through, if it's like a progression that's by 3 or 5, then it's a lot easier to get those numbers. So
Sure.
I think we're at that point. It's all about confidence because I feel like a lot of jumpers they have the potential to jump to a lot of NCAA high jumpers. If you're making it to your conference meet or your nationals, you have the ability to be a consistent 220 jumper and
Yeah.
the ability to be a 227 high jumper.
Right.
All the difference is the confidence that you have.
Sure.
Like whenever I compete, a lot of people are like, "Oh, how do you jump?" I already was scared of the bar this on a third, and it's like the bar I'm never scared of. I'm never and like it doesn't intimidate me. Like
Right.
if it says 7 on the name of it, okay, it's 7. The only time I'd be intimidated is when it's 8 feet.
Yeah.
So it's like I can do it,
Right.
and like realistically, it's like it's possible. If you just cleared 7.2 by a mile, you can clear 7.4. So
Sure.
it's just like having that mentality where it's like, hey, like which why I think I did football
Yeah.
because I was at safety. So you have that mentality. It's like, hey, I'm coming down and I'm going to fill that gap.
Yep. Yep.
Even though even though I'm 30 pounds less than the running back, I'm still gonna fill it. So it's kind
Yeah.
of like that mentality where it's like, hey, like I'm coming down the runway. It's a good run, and all I gotta do is put my foot down.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like, and that's the difference between an NCAA jumper or a conference jumper. That's the difference between a
Yeah.
conference champion or a conference third. It's literally a
Yeah.
confidence thing.
Well,
So yeah, it's like,
go ahead.
Okay, it's just that, and so I think yeah, for a lot of jumpers, it's like not they don't have the ability to do those heights. It's more they don't have the confidence or like that mentality, like, hey, I'm going to do this, and
Yeah,
I'll do whatever it takes.
that's huge.
So
The
yeah,
mindset of the high jumper is huge. I've seen so many guys that are just so negative, and they're so not self-deprecating, like I want to say defecating, like they just crap on themselves. They're just like they're so hard on
literally,
themselves. I'm just like, dude,
literally,
you got to lighten up,
yeah,
man. You're doing a good job, just
yeah,
but you can't be perfect at everything, every jump, and it's like some days are gonna be better than others for sure. But yeah,
yeah,
um, the what was the other side of it? I was just thinking of no, you mentioned the mental aspect, which is huge, and then
yeah,
the confidence. Oh, I know what it was. The fact that you play safety. I'm assuming free safety or strong.
yep. Free safety,
Free
both,
safety.
mix of both.
Long lineage of high jumpers that were free safeties, which I'm proud to
Yeah,
be a part of. I jumped against a guy named James Lott from Texas, who was uh, he was the starting free safety and was also a 7-7 jumper who had won NCAAs a couple times, and he won it
yeah,
again my senior year when I made it there. And I actually beat him at the dual meet when they came out to us, but he was all beat up from football, so he wasn't in shape yet.
yeah,
And so I got him early, jumped 215 or something, and beat him on misses. And then at NC
yeah,
28, he jumped 7.5 or something. So I
yeah.
couldn't catch him then. But I remember James Lott was a free safety. I remember some of my good guys that I remember competing against in high school. We would always compare notes from football season before we
Yep,
started jumping, who'd you guys
literally.
play and which round of the playoffs did you
Yeah,
make and all that. So, well, hey, Kennedy, I'm glad we finally got this done. I appreciate your
hmm
time and your energy and your passion for your sport, man. And I'm excited to keep doing whatever I can to promote you. So let me know if you need more exposure, you want to do a reel, send me videos anytime. I'm happy to say, here's what Kennedy did this week. Cheer him on as he goes to the regionals and on, because I'm a big
yes,
fan of your work. And if you don't mind me using your stuff, I'm going to show you off to some of my kids for some of the things you do
Mhm.
technically that I like.
Yeah,
So, all
for sure, for sure, for
right.
sure. It doesn't work for everybody, but if it does work for them, that's what's up.
Hey,
That works
anything you can, right? Anything, you'll
definitely.
find out. You already mentioned being a coach later. There's certain times where I'm like, oh man, you got to see this, and I'll have
Yeah,
it queued up. I've got like
yeah,
different areas of things that certain people do that are like, hey, like watching somebody run.
Mhm.
I've got fortunately on Instagram, I've seen Bondarenko, uh, Barshim, Tamberry, like some of the best, and just a straight shot of them running across in your vision. And I'm
yeah,
like, now look, knees up, feet to your butt, arms at 90s. Watch these guys run. It's just like,
yeah,
do it like that. And then let's leave it at that.
yeah,
I don't want to show you me doing it because that wouldn't look the same.
yeah.
But yeah, so we're gonna do that with definitely. I like that knee drive, the way you're getting up into that, and I like the way you're explaining staying tall in the curve. So,
Yeah.
well, hey, appreciate your time, man. I'm looking forward to hearing big
Anytime,
things. So yeah,
for sure,
I'll be
definitely.
following those posts, and I got to find a
Mhm.
way to be more up on stuff that's not in California because there's so many
Definitely.
conferences out there. Some of you guys that I interview are like, oh, I'm in the ACC. Oh, I'm in the,
A lot of
I'm over here,
conferences
I'm over
happen.
there. Yeah, a lot of conferences out there. So, but I'm glad you have the Liberty history too, because I have a parent who jumped 7.2 back in the day when he was at Liberty, and his son
Mhm.
is Caden O'Connell, who has just now, after a year of junior college, gone to Liberty. So I got to
Yeah.
catch up with him and find out how he did in his first or second season there, jumping under
hmm
your old school. So interesting how
Definitely.
things seem to come around.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, man. Have a good one, Kennedy. Thanks for your time, man. Appreciate you.
Anytime. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Talk soon.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Yes.
And that's going to wrap it up. We got to talk with Kennedy Sauder. He's started off at Liberty University and now he's at the University of Miami. Says he got another year left, just recovering from a terrible tractor accident. Sounds like or not a tractor, some kind of a motor. What do you call it? I want to picture it as an ATV or something, but he had a spill and messed up his arm. Said he broke it in two pieces, and he's already back and he's trying to get ready, but tremendous talent. And he jumped 224, which is 7.4 and a quarter. He's been struggling to get back to that level, but he says he can feel it coming. And if you watch him jump here, both past and present, he definitely has a lot of talent. Only 5'11". Those of you that are out there that think you can't jump high at shorter heights, that is not necessarily true. Some of the great jumpers here, Franklin Jacobs here in the U.S. was 5'7" and 3/4" and jumped 7'7" 3/4", 2 feet over his own head. And the great Stefan Holm from Sweden was 5'11 and 1/2", jumped 7'11 and 1/2". So it's doable. And we're going to wrap this up. I've got a team banquet to go to tonight for Yorba Linda High School. We did have yesterday CIF finals where Sky High and Fly Jump Lab was happy to have about 9 or 10 kids jumping there. And we got a couple kids we got one, Nate Baca. Shout out to Nate Baca, who jumped 6'10" yesterday and won Division I CIF. And to Tyler Molinowski, who jumped 6'6" and came in second at Division II CIF. And we had Riley Johnson from Redondo jumped 6'5'4" and came in second at Division I in a tie. And then we had Lydia Lynn, sorry, from Yorba Linda, who jumped 5'2". We're waiting to see if she got in, and along with Juliet Aniquis also from Redondo, got two girls that have jumped 5'2" that are waiting to see if they're in or not to the next step here, which is the Masters meet next week, and then we're off to state. So that's it for now. Tune in again. We'll be talking with you soon. We'll get another mailbag, and we'll also have other great high jumping guests, coaches, trainers, some pole vaulters, anybody that helps us raise the bar. And we'll be doing that soon. So have a great afternoon or evening, wherever you are listening, and we'll talk again soon. All right. Bye-bye.